Do your eyes work? Do you struggle with seeing things up close or far away? Are you always needing to zoom in? Okay, that was a little goofy, but I got your attention. Uh, this is gonna be a little longer video, but I think this is important. So it turns out our eyes are like a muscle, like the rest of the body. Um, who knew, right? Uh, probably pretty commonplace. Probably you already knew that, but you probably didn't think of this. If they act like a muscle, or if they are a muscle, then they're going to act like a muscle, which means they're going to atrophy with less use and strengthen with use, especially in specific ways. So just like our muscles, uh, over time, our lifestyle shapes the way our muscles perform. And the same thing happens with our eyes. So the short explanation for this is our eyes, usually talk about them like they're lenses. Light go in, go through the eye lens, they get processed by, the neurons and sent to the brain. But it's not just a lens because the eye is a muscle. So the eye the pupils, they expand and they contract like a muscle to process light efficiently. They can limit how much light comes in and out, while your eye-mind connection, the connection to the brain, that sends signals to and from, just like a mind-muscle connection, just like the connections to like your hand, your mouth, your arms, your feet. And then there's the actual neural pathways in your brain, right? Because your brain has all these neural pathways for processing information. And you have neural pathways for your eyes to process the connection and interpret it efficiently. And when you're moving around, you're looking at different things at different distances and angles, and when those things are moving, you're going to be constantly firing and strengthening each of those systems and together as a whole. But if, like a lot of people today, you aren't doing that, so for most of the day, maybe you're in a small enclosed room, you're stationary in the same position, staring at a screen, maybe your laptop, maybe your phone, which doesn't move and has a lot of light as well, so that's going to throw it off. It's basically the equivalent of laying on the couch all day for your muscles, but your eyes. So your eyes are atrophying and they get lazy because you're not using them. You're not using them in different ways. And so you actually can start to lose the connection if you don't use this. And this can, not all the time, but sometimes be why some people need glasses. So if you stare at a computer screen all the time, you are more likely to need glasses. And it's not just because there's a lot of light coming from your screen, that's part of it, but it's also the actual activation of your eye muscles. If you're not using them in these different ways where you're following a point, like if you're watching a bird or looking at different points at different distances, like you would if you were walking outside. So you look at a tree that's up close, and then you look at something far away, and then you're looking at this thing. And also in different lightings. So, during the day it gets lighter and it gets darker, and that all of those force your eyes, your the connection and the neural pathways to adjust, strengthen, and fire together. Which you're not doing if you're just staring at a screen all day. And so if you're not doing that, it might be worth looking into training your eyes, because apparently that is also a thing, which I think should really be talked about. I don't know why that isn't talked about more. This is so useful. And I just found it, so I just want to talk about it. Obvious disclaimer, I am not an eye doctor. I'm not saying this is a quick fix, but I am saying that it is a thing. There's research. I've also tried it, and it does seem to work, so that's awesome. And also, as I've looked into it, apparently, military snipers also train their eyes, which I think is pretty cool and a good testament. They have to have decent vision anyways, but they train their eyes to improve the connection even more, so that, you know, when you're trying to look at something that's like 100 to 500 feet away, you can actually see it, and see it very well. So if that doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. Anyway, so here is the breakdown. Your eyes can do a few things. Think of this as like, I don't know, push, pull, lift for your muscles. Your eyes can fire in different ways, and they should fire in different ways. And you should practice them in these different ways, not just one way. And as you practice them, they're going to improve and get better. And then they can get super better if you keep training them. So first, seeing close. Your eyes are supposed to be able to focus. You know, there's really close, you know, 1 foot in front of you to about 5 feet in front of you. You should have pretty good vision, be able to like read really small text. Second, seeing far away, like 5 feet to, I don't know, about 100 feet maybe. You should at least be able to distinguish the color, the shape, and the movement, if not be able to, you know, see small shapes and read text. And if you can't, you should probably work on that. Third, so peripheral vision, that also does not get talked about a lot because we don't think about using it very much. But your peripheral vision, so that's the very corner of your eyes. So if you relax and then you try to look out of the corner of your eye, you don't necessarily get a lot of precise vision, but you can see movement really well. This is actually how you practice it. And you can, if you use it, you can be very aware of movement next to you, and it'll extend. You'll be able to pick it up. You'll be able to see with your peripheral vision almost to the back of your head if you practice it enough. And that, we don't use that as much today, but when you are, you know, out in the world, that helps you avoid getting hit by things, basically. So if something suddenly, woo, then you can dodge. But that is also very helpful if, you know, you're athletic, or you are taking care of children, or anything where there's moving objects. You want to be able to see movement around you and be able to respond quickly. And it's just good for your eyes. So you want to be able to pick up on movement. Fourth, seeing in the dark. This is talked about as a meme, but not talked about as a, you probably should be able to do this. So you don't, seeing in the dark is different than seeing in the light because it uses different cones in your eyes. Instead of color, you see grayscale, which is really interesting, but I'm not going to go into that. But you should be able to see enough in grayscale that you can see shapes, like objects, and see movement, which creates that creepy vibe sometimes. But it's also really useful, and it's part of your eye muscle. You want to be able to do this. And this is something that can really atrophy because we're surrounded by light all of the time. Even when it is supposed to be pitch black at night, there's always, not just our screens, having light switches, you know, our room lights. We never have to walk in the dark because we can just turn on a light. And so we're not using our dark vision, basically. And so it's not improving because it's not just, you know, you hear about eating carrots and that's nutritional, which can help it, but you do still need to actually use it to improve it. If you never try to see in the dark, you're not going to be able to see in the dark. And that can be a very useful skill to have if for some reason you can't turn on the lights. You need to find something. Oh, and seeing in the dark, movement also is going to be easier to pick up on, shape and movement. It's probably an evolutionary trick, in the dark, that's going to be the most important thing. But yeah, so that's seeing in the dark. And also, your eyes should be able to look in all directions. So up, down, side to side, and all around. And this is interesting because if you spend your time stationary looking at a screen, also if you read a lot, so this may also apply if you read a lot, your eyes may get almost overused, and they get used to staying in one spot. So it feels weird almost to look in a different direction because your eyes are always looking in one direction, which is very interesting. And also not good because then your eyes are going to be weaker in all the other directions. So also want to practice that. So again, the good thing is you can train this and you can improve these, all 5 aspects, and it just takes some about 5 minutes of daily practice. And I have some exercises that I found to be useful, and you can try it yourself and let me know how and if it works for you. And if it doesn't, feel free to rage comment. I don't know, but I would highly suggest at least trying it because it is crazy. So first thing, okay, I wrote them down so that they're in order, and that's going to help. So the first step, we're going to warm up your eyes, and that helps. Just like with your muscles, you warm them up, get blood flow to it, and you're going to get more improvement. So take your finger, hold it out about a foot in front of your face, and you look at it. You just stare at your finger, and just gently bring it to your nose, and then back again, and then to your nose, and back again. Yeah, it's gonna look a little weird, but that's gonna help warm up your eyes and also improve your close vision, and your focus. And then after you do that, look left, up, right, down, and then down, right, up, left. Just do that a couple times, and then do a couple eye circles, which is basically just that, but in one motion. So left, up, right, down, right, up, left. And that also helps warm up your eyes, expand all those different angles. Little note trick, if you can pick a spot to look at when you're looking instead of just, moving your eyeballs, that is a little more effective because you're training the full function of your eyes, I guess, because your eyes are designed to look at things and not just move around. So that'll strengthen the connection. And then after that, just relax and try to look out of the corner of your eye for a few seconds. Put your hand up, see how far back you can see it. Move it out, move it in, move it back, forward. Do the same thing with the other side. Yeah, and just do that a couple times, and it'll feel weird, but if you do this daily, it does improve. It's really crazy. And with the peripheral vision, it is important to relax, because it is a more passive observational system than trying to look forward. You're not gonna you actually won't pick up as much if you don't relax. And I found doing this after eye rolls, it is a little easier. You're just, I don't know, your eyes are more adjusted, I guess. Okay, so after you get that all warmed up, uh, practicing the different distances. And so this is going to be better if you're outside because you can look farther basically, but you can still do it inside. Because the point is to practice at different distances and switching between them. So you can still do this in a small room. So what you want to do is pick a spot about 5 feet in front of you and just stare at it. Stare. Just like with your finger, let your eyes relax and come into focus. If there's text, you want to be able to read it as much as possible. So if you can go outside, find a spot 50 feet away and look at it. If you can't, then you just find a spot farthest away in your room and just look at it. And then go back to 5 feet. And then go back to the far spot. And then 5 feet. And then the far spot. And then you get your finger again. Yes, it is the finger. You get your finger again. You're going to look at it. And then you look at the 5 feet. And then you look at the far spot. And then you look at the finger. And the 5 feet. And the far spot. And then you can start playing with different spots. And basically you just do that a couple times. And you want it to come to focus. That's going to be most effective. And as you do it, see if you can do it faster while still having it come into focus. And so that is going to really exercise your eye dilation and your the neural pathways for focusing, basically, as much as possible. And that's going to really help with focusing at that distance. And the speed is going to reinforce the action of dilation, and so you're basically getting your muscles to be attentive, not lazy. And then last thing, just take your finger. We're going to simulate following motion. So you take your finger, wash it as you go back and forth, and just do this a couple times. And it's going to feel a little weird. You might feel a little weird for doing it because you're just watching your finger, but this is going to be really helpful for your eyes, because your eyes are probably not used to watching things actually move. They're used to staring in one spot. And so this is going to really help with... Sorry, I'm just getting excited about this. It's going to help with training your eye muscle connection, with processing the information, and with the dilation. And so those are what I've been doing this for like about a week or two, and it seems to help. So I would suggest, taking a week or so, doing it, and see if your eyes will strengthen over time. Because your eyes are a muscle. They're a very important muscle. They're how you see everything. And if you take care of them now, then 20 years down the line, you'll be able to read and do things and not be like an old person who can't read anything. Anyway, hopefully this was useful. At the very least, exposed you to the concept if you hadn't heard it before. So you can totally do research and fact check me. I don't care. Just try it. See if it works. See if it does something. And I'd love to hear your results. If they're good, if they're bad, if there's something that you would improve on or do differently, let me know, because it's a little bit different than what I've been posting, but I think this is really important. Anyway, that's it for today. As always, remember to be brave, be strong, be kind, and be the change that you want to see. Bye-bye.